Hello everybody, kia ora, and welcome to this video about the astrology of the week beginning Saturday the 8th of February until Sunday the 16th of February. And that is the astrology from the point of view of New Zealand, Australia and the Southern Hemisphere, but using Western tropical astrology adjusted for the seasons here. My name is Fiona of Sun and Moon Calendar. This is a calendar that I make, the calendar for New Zealand. It's got tons of information about the aspects and transits. It's set out in lunar months, and it's got beautiful illustrations by a local artist. And the illustrations, just put it back. The illustrations are chosen for your country. So in New Zealand, the illustrations are of New Zealand birds and animals representing the zodiac signs, and in Australia it's the Australian birds and animals representing the zodiac signs. The 2025 is a really big year. Crazy year with the big planets, or rather the slow moving outer planets, changing signs, bringing a whole new fresh awakening start for the whole world, and especially the first part up to April is really huge with intense astrological energies. Have you been feeling lately that you're in some kind of mystical dream where random things are happening that feel a little bit like taking you into a new direction, a little bit fantastical? At the same time, some real cold, hard reality hits. That's been kind of the energy that we're under. We've got Pisces with Saturn in it, making us be real about the dreamy stuff. And then we've had Neptune and Venus being, and the North Node making us really kind of into another realm, like futuristic and like other worlds can exist. Anyway, I've been feeling that. That's how I've been feeling. And if you want to write about in the comments, please go ahead. But let's get on with the video. This week I'm going to start with the astrological transits day by day, one at a time, go through what's happening this week. There's a lot of Mercury action this week. And then we're going to, I'm starting with the moon phases, then the transits day by day, then looking at the main events going on, the big things, and finally a brief analysis of the full moon chart, because we have the full moon coming up on Wednesday night, Thursday morning. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, let's start with the moon phase that we're in. That's most fundamental cycle in the astrological energies that we experience. We had a new moon in the sign of Aquarius on the 29th, 30th of January, at the end of January, representing a new start in that part of the sky. So wherever Aquarius falls in your chart, you had a new start. And that is still developing because we are in the waxing phase, and the moon is getting bigger and bigger as the energy grows. Last week, on the 5th of February, we had the moon square the sun, and that is the half moon, or the first quarter moon that appears like a half moon, and that's a key stage of really getting into action with things. And now we are coming up to the full moon, and that is where the moon is across the sky opposite to the sun, shining back the light from the sun, having that great reflection, great energy. It's a culmination point, it's a peak moment, and that's taking place early in the morning, very early in the morning. So on the night of Wednesday the 12th, or early in the morning actually, on Thursday the 13th of February. So full moon in the sign of Leo at 24 degrees. And after that, the energy will start to wane again, and we'll have the moon square sun on the 21st. And then at the end of February, we've got a new moon in the sign of Pisces. So the big one for this week is full moon in the sign of Leo. And now let's look at this week's aspects and transits one by one. Not as much happening this week. Pretty good. And last week was a real week of Venus action and also Venus and Neptune. So there was that real floaty, ethereal, mystical, and quite a lovely feeling. This week is more serious and there's a lot of Mercury action. We start on Monday the 10th with the Sun conjunct Mercury, and just going on with that Mercury theme. So, the Sun conjunct Mercury, that is a moment where Mercury is at, in a way, its full moon phase in its cycle, and it's behind the Sun. So we've got Earth, Sun, Mercury. I'll talk a little bit more about that soon. On the same day, Monday the 10th, Mars retrograde is trine to Saturn. And this is a serious energy, but it is an easy and flowing one in terms of what we want to take action on going forward. And that is lining up with commitment and dedication, the willingness to do hard work with that Saturn energy. And we're towards the end of Mars retrograde, and Mars is going to turn around and it will come back over that aspect with Saturn again. So we'll see that one again probably in March, I think, is the timing of that one. But that's a good one for getting on with things and feeling good about it, feeling really intentional, and like your willpower and your logical thinking and practical thinking are in alignment with each other. Then on Tuesday the 11th, we've got Mercury square to Uranus. And Uranus, so Mercury, this is where we could be getting with that. And then the full moon 2 days later, or a day later roughly, there could be some unsettling news or something disruptive that happens. Uranus is a planet that brings awakening, a restless energy, wanting freedom and escape. Freedom and truth, authenticity, and Mercury brings news and information. So those could combine to bring some disruptive news that, while it could be disruptive and challenging, in the end it is bringing us forward to truth, authenticity, and perhaps a new way of being and a new awakening. Okay, we've got Sun square to Uranus, and that's bringing a similar energy, and with that we've got that full moon in Leo. And then at the end of the week, on Saturday the 15th, Mercury is moving into Pisces, and that's a different energy. We've been pretty rational for the last month or so with Mercury going through Capricorn and then Aquarius, both signs of rationality and logic. And then Mercury going into Pisces, it's going to make us more poetic. I'll talk about that more soon. So with all the Mercury stuff happening, and with the full moon, as you'll see soon in the full moon chart, we've got Mercury and the Sun and the full moon in a square aspect to Uranus, and that could bring news with the Mercury that's disruptive, Uranus. And so I've chosen to call this video something like unsettling news or disruptive information. Okay, so expect something like that to come along. Now let's get on with the main events this week. So let's look at the main events happening this week. Not quite as much happening as we've had recently. So we've got Mercury conjunct the Sun, and as I was saying, this is the moment where Mercury is orbiting the Sun. Mercury goes around the Sun, orbits the Sun 3 times a year, and this is one of those moments 3 times a year where Mercury is on the other side of the Sun from us. And when Mercury is on the same side of the Sun as us, going past the Sun, that's when we get a Mercury retrograde, because it appears to be going backwards, and it's just that at that time Earth is going faster than Mercury. We're not in Mercury retrograde at the moment. We're at the opposite end of that cycle, of the Promethean cycle. So Mercury is on the other side of the Sun. It could be that this is a culmination point for something that started, or a theme that rose up at the last Mercury retrograde in December in Sagittarius. Okay, so at this point, Mercury is meeting the sun, or in line with the sun at 21 degrees of Aquarius. But if you can think back to what you were doing in December when Mercury was retrograde, and perhaps there's a theme that's come to fruition now with that culmination point. It's like a full moon for Mercury. Yeah, okay. And more Mercury action. So we've had Mercury in Aquarius since the end of January. It is moving fast at this stage in its cycle of going round behind the sun. Mercury moves quickly. So there you can see just over 2 weeks that Mercury has been in Aquarius. And in that time, Mercury and Aquarius go together. They both love the air energy. Aquarius is air. Mercury loves that logic, thinking, zing, 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 ideas, and rational thinking logically, analysis. And we've had that, and that's been useful. That's been useful because we've had all this Pisces energy with Neptune, the North Node, and Venus, and not Saturn. Saturn's there, but it's more that's more logical. But those other three have been making things more mystical, ethereal, confusing. And so it's been helpful having Mercury in Pisces. But on the 15th of February, Mercury moves into Pisces, and that's going to make us want to wax lyrical, be poetic, tell tall tales, make us really imaginative, and to be able to express our imagination, because Mercury helps us with our verbal and written expression. Okay, we need to remember to stay grounded in reality, because we do have this really big lineup in Pisces that we're in now, and it's growing with coming into Pisces season with Mercury and the Sun shortly to be in Pisces. Okay, but if you are a person who loves to create, to write, to paint, to write music, Mercury in Pisces is going to help you with that. It's in Pisces until the 3rd of March, again moving quickly, but then it's going to go into Aries, turn retrograde in Aries, and it will be going back through Pisces again from the 30th of March until mid-April. So a long time in Pisces then. Okay. I'm looking ahead with this one a little bit. On Sunday, the 23rd of February, in a couple of weeks, the North Node comes into conjunction with the planet Neptune. And I'm sharing it here because we actually had the true node conjunct. So that's the exact node or the eclipse point on Friday, the 7th of February. The North Node represents our destiny, like where your soul wants to go and where your soul is going to go. It brings fated events that can feed into your future and help you to take steps out of your comfort zone into a future that your deep self really wants to go to. Something where you express in the world in a really special way and have gifts for the world. But like I said, outside of your comfort zone. So wherever the North Node is in your birth chart, that's an area that the universe will be helping you to move towards with destined moments and changes of direction that happen around the times of eclipses, which we have coming up in March. But we've got this point now where that North Node, that calculated point where the eclipses occur, where the moon's ecliptic crosses the sun's, is meeting Neptune. And we're in the energy now because the true node or the exact point was exact on the 7th. But we've got the average or the mean node on the 23rd. Okay, this is a really good time to visualize what you might want for the future. Okay, where would you love to go that might feel really crazy and irrational, unrealistic? Forget about realism for now. Yes, we do need to stay grounded and we need to be realistic about how we conduct our affairs. But in terms of when you're visualizing what you would like to manifest in the future, what you'd like to happen in your life in the future, go for gold. Tell stories about it, visualize it, write it, dream it, especially visualizing and feeling the feelings of what that would feel like. And I've also said there dance and float with, because that's that Neptune and Pisces energy. Okay, enjoy that. Oh gosh, the other day I did one. I was walking to work and I said, what do I want in 18 years? And I got this idea from Ksenia, my astrology teacher. She does videos as well, and she was talking about this. She was saying, visualize what you want in 18 years, what you want in 10 years' time, what you want in 5 years' time. And I did that, and it really lifted me up. It lifted me into a more positive mindset. You know, I wasn't unhappy or anything before, but I felt so happy thinking about, wow, anything is possible. These amazing dreams of mine that are really out there and definitely outside my comfort zone, they could come to be, especially if taking those micro decisions along the way in life towards that. And when we take those micro decisions in life, that can lead us towards things. We really do need to have that goal in mind. Like having that goal of what you would love to go for will help to guide those moments where you do have a small decision or a big decision to make. Okay, we're still in Mars retrograde. It's coming to an end. It's until the 24th of February. We're in the last days. Yep, so more could come up in the next couple of weeks before we get to that Mars turning around point. Okay, so we're reviewing the ways that we take action in the world, that we drive forward and fight for things. Okay. And just to remind you, on Tuesday the 4th, Jupiter's stationed direct in the sign of Gemini, and you might be finding that things are starting to turn around in that area of your life that Gemini rules, whatever house that's in. And I've done a video about the little pieces of luck that Jupiter can bring in the sign of Gemini, and I'll link that in the description. And I did it in December because I was noticing some real luck that I've had with Jupiter in Gemini. It brings benefits, new opportunities. So while it was retrograde, things might have felt like they're not really happening for a little while, because there's internal change happening with retrogrades. But now things might start to come to manifest, to become real in the real world with those lucky breaks that Jupiter can bring. Let's take a little look at the full moon chart, and that's for the full moon in the sign of Leo at 24 degrees of Leo. So you can see there the moon opposite the sun, and the sun is at 24 degrees, 6 minutes of Aquarius, and the moon is across the sky, reflecting the sun's light in the sign of Leo at 24 degrees. This is a culmination point in that part of your chart. So wherever Leo is in your chart, you can think back to, you can think about what's maybe coming to a completion point, even if it's not completely finished, but it's maybe coming to its peak moment of expression. And Leo is about expression. It's about creative expression, dramatic flair, and glamour, and being really confident and shining in the world. Leo is ruled by the sun, and so the moon is in Leo and the sun is opposite, and the moon gets to really shine with that. So there's some lovely expressive energy. It's even more so than usual with this full moon. It's a good time to have fun and to be playful and to create. Okay, and at the same time, you can see that there's Mercury conjunct the sun. It's just gone through that superior conjunction where Mercury is behind the sun, kind of that full moon moment for Mercury after its retrograde in December. Okay, so this is bringing perhaps more news and information coming out at the time of the full moon. And it could be interesting, and challenging, because there's also this square to Uranus, and I didn't put a circle around it, but Uranus is at 23 degrees of Taurus in a T-square with the sun and the moon. So we have this T-square, and this is a crunchy, challenging energy, a stressy energy. Okay, so while that's a lovely full, expressive and playful full moon, and joyous even with Leo, there could be some unexpected disruptions, and it could come in the form of some news with that Mercury energy there. So if that happens, ride with it. We just need to do our best to respond to it and to work through the challenges. That the square energy is about working through blocks and challenges. So we need to do our best with that, of course, with life, always. And at the same time as the full moon, we are under that energy of the North Node conjunct Neptune, where things could be happening that feel fantastical and also destined. And this could all play in with that heightened energy of the full moon. Some other more subtle energies going on with this full moon is Mars having recently gone through a square with Chiron, so bringing up some deep inner childhood wounds. But then that energy is helped by Venus's recent sextile with Pluto. That could help to ease some of that, because that can help with some healing of deep stuff. And also Jupiter is it's a bit of a ways, but it's coming up to a sextile with Chiron, and Chiron indeed is trine and sextile to the moon and the sun, and that's a more flowing energy. So I just do wonder if some themes of healing inner childhood wounds could come up with this, and there'll be challenges but also ways to work through that. Okay, but the biggest energy is that square to Uranus, so something disruptive and challenges that we need to work through, that will be taking us to to up level, where we will be more awakened to truth and authenticity through it. There we go, everyone. That is my video. I hope that you have a great week. With the ups and downs that we're likely to be going through, but we remember we still have that some sweet mystical energy with the Neptune and the North Node and all of that. Venus is coming up to retrograde. Mercury will be retrograde later, but we are coming up to the end of the Mars retrograde, and I think that's going to feel like a positive turnaround when that comes in a couple of weeks. Enjoy the full moon on Thursday mornings, Wednesday nights, and that culmination point. Even if it's disruptive, it's still some time to take a moment to appreciate life and be playful. Okay, and remember to order, if you haven't already, if you haven't got a calendar yet for 2025, if you have a calendar but you want an astrological calendar that's going to show you the lunar months and the rising and falling energy with each moon, and also the daily transits and aspects going on, go ahead and order from sunandmooncalendar.com or sunandmooncalendar.nz. There's a calendar for Australia and a calendar for New Zealand. Loads of information in there. Have a great week. Bye for now. Hei konara.